It's been called the downfall of Diddy, but are we also witnessing a further downfall of Kanye West? The Grammy-winning artist that some believe is a musical genius recently went on a crazed social media rant that included, among other things, a call to free Puff.
The world of entertainment has always thrived on spectacle, but nothing could have prepared the public for the thunderous revelations now circling Diddy and Kanye West. These two figures, who once seemed untouchable in their respective spheres,
getting by with a little help from his friends.
Maybe. One of his friends tried. His knight in denim armor, as it were. Kanye West showing up out at the federal courthouse in New York City. The first time we've seen any of Diddy's celebrity friends in court supporting him. It did not go exactly as Kanye planned, but here was his big entrance.
The box sit right here in the middle. Kanye West. No, Kanye. Kanye. Happy to see you. Yeah. You the last one.
Still people celebrating him, which we always talk about as being kind of weird with the things he has espoused. But there he is walking in all in white, strolling into the courthouse. Bianca not with him. Interesting, because we do know she is in New York with him, but she did not go to the courthouse. And there you see King Combs greeting him outside to go into the courtroom. Now, his plan clearly is to go in and support Diddy. And we know that they're close. Just a few months ago, remember, Kanye dropped a song that featured clips of a prison conversation he'd had with Diddy.
And the idea being essentially that the jury would see him there in support.
And that somehow that would help, although we'll get into whether or not it helps or hurts. We saw the chaos outside of court as he went in, but what happened inside? Our producer, Jacob Wasserman, is actually in court. He's been in the overflow room. What did you see, Jacob? Was there any commotion inside the court? Were people aware that Kanye was coming?
The best way I can compare it is like a big game of hide and go seek. So I was outside when Kanye first came in, and he goes in, and it sounds like he came in with Christian Combs and Donaldson, one of Diddy's attorneys. I guess we caught that on video. I went inside shortly afterwards. Of course, I go up to the courtroom because I think that's where Kanye is going. I go up, everyone's, oh my gosh, where's Kanye? Where's Kanye? Apparently, he never even made it inside. He didn't reach the 26th floor. One of my colleagues who's inside said that basically they were siloed off this entire time, and Kanye wasn't much of a topic inside the courtroom. I usually go to the two floors below, which is the overflow room, which is essentially like watching the court case happen on a big TV screen, and everyone thought he was going to come in there. So we go down, and it's like bedlam. Everyone is coming in and out every 5 seconds. They're upping security. At one point, they cleared off a bench in the back and had security standing in front of it. And it sounded like that he was going to come in and sit on that bench and watch it with the rest of us. But one of our PAs, who's also inside the courtroom, went on with a bunch of other journalists to kind of see where is Kanye, because that's what everyone was thinking. Is he in the cafeteria? Is he coming up here? Did he already leave? And what we learned based off talking with several people is it sounds like he was given his own private room, basically his own overflow room, which he was in for about 8 to 10 minutes. And then I assume was like, hey, I didn't come here to be in this private room by myself. I wanted to show face for Diddy and, to the public. And then eventually he left right after. So it was only there for a short period of time. And I'm not sure if other people got access to the overflow room that he was in, but if they did, it wasn't many.
Right. So the jurors never saw him, and Diddy never saw him.
Right. So
no,
and would know.
No, yeah. So the jurors never saw him. The one thing I want to mention is, as I was saying, how I was in the overflow room and everyone's coming in and out, and it's this whole commotion. Nicole Westmoreland, one of Diddy's attorneys,
have suddenly found themselves exposed in a way that has left fans, critics, and even hardened industry insiders gasping for air. Inside the walls of a courtroom, away from the flashing lights of red carpets and the staged perfection of music videos, the curtain has been ripped back, and the truth that has surfaced is more disturbing than anyone could have anticipated. Diddy and Kanye West, two names that for years defined success, influence, and cultural dominance, are now tied together by shocking and unsettling secrets that threaten not only their reputations but the very structure of the music industry they helped to build. The atmosphere in that courtroom was unlike anything seen before. The silence before the storm was deafening. The kind of silence that grips everyone in attendance and makes even the sound of shuffling papers echo with intensity. As the lawyers began to present the evidence, whispers filled the room. Connections between Diddy and Kanye were spelled out with chilling precision, drawing lines that many had long suspected but few dared to say aloud. The revelations were not small, trivial details that could be brushed aside. They were bombshells that shook the foundation of everything these two men had built. These were disturbing ties.
Man, and Diddy trial, gotta talk about it, man. Kanye, I heard he was up there.
Well, you know, it was shocking to everybody, but you know, Kanye's name was mentioned the day before that when the witness Jane was telling a story in which Puff had, I think he had attacked her at one time. He got mad and got upset with her. I think he may have put her in a chokehold or something when he found out that she went to one of the freak-offs. But they said that it was a rapper who was married, and everybody, all the information that came out, it was pointing to Kanye West. And then it so happened the next day he comes up there. This is the same guy that got on, and I don't want to blow nobody else's platforms up, got on Drink Champs about a year or so ago before Diddy was arrested, talking about Diddy was a fed, you understand? F Diddy and all this other stuff like that. And then he talked all kind of crazy shit about Diddy. And that's how these dudes in this industry do, man. They ain't got no loyalty to themselves, bro. So by him going on that, and now they say him and Diddy made amends and stuff like that. Remember I think he did a t-shirt, a shirt or something to say free Puff and all this other stuff. So Kanye is on he's looking for the attention, and for him to be mentioned in the trial, and they didn't let it go through because the reason they didn't let it go through is because they said it wasn't pertinent to the charges that Puff was facing. So what happened, Jane went to Vegas and she was invited by allegedly Kanye West and his wife and them and everything like that. And they went to plays, they went to show, they went out to eat and everything. And then later on that night, they went to a hotel room. Whereas there was some other couples in there too and some other people. And there wasn't a freak off, but it was one of the guys who does the freak off with her there. And they were all sitting around watching and drinking while this guy was having sex with another sex worker or whatever like that. And while all of them just watching him have sex and stuff. I guess it's some rich people industry that they do. But they were just sitting around watching this dude have a live porn section right there in front of them. You know what I'm saying? So she started talking about that incident in court. And that's how Kanye West's name came up. And which they didn't say his name, but they said his name because it was an objection done. You know how they do, objection, overrule, all this other stuff like that. So they said it was a rapper who's married. They gave a description of it and it pointed straight to Kanye. And then it so happened the next day he goes up in the courtroom with Diddy and them sons. That's just crazy, bro. It seemed like that to me, if Kanye West is paying sex workers
that hinted at gatherings shielded from public eyes, behaviors hidden behind walls of power, and secrets that could ruin careers if ever revealed. Diddy's face was a portrait of someone watching his empire disintegrate before his very eyes. The man who once strutted through award shows and boardrooms with unmatched confidence now looked cornered, panicked, stripped of his carefully maintained image. Each word spoken in that courtroom hit him like a hammer. He sat stiffly, lips tight, eyes darting as though searching for an escape that wasn't there. The aura of invincibility was gone. Instead, the world saw a man crumbling, betrayed by the very secrets he thought he had buried. And then came the mention of Kanye West. The room seemed to shift the moment his name was spoken, because tying these two together opened doors no one was prepared to walk through. Kanye's involvement painted the picture in darker shades. For years, he had been dismissed as unstable. His explosive interviews and cryptic statements brushed off as rants from a troubled mind.
Is taking some time out to sort of counsel Kanye. And Kanye seems very open to it. This is a phone call between them, which the Shade Room obtained. Now, this sounds like it's the same call that Kanye recorded and used in the song Lonely Roads Still Go to Sunshine. This is the one that North is on as well. Told you all about that. But they had a very lengthy conversation. And here at the beginning, it sounds like, as Harvey said, that Diddy is offering some sort of warning to Kanye.
It's wicked, wicked, wicked. So you be careful.
Yeah.
We can't do nothing if they, you know what I'm saying? I need you out there, you feel me?
Yeah. I hear you. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Man, have fun.
Yeah.
Having no fun. Get behind the mic, have some fun. Chop up them samples, get back on your hitman vibe. Have some fun, get back to smiling.
Yeah.
These are they're wasting your time, B.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Be careful out there, because they definitely trying to end us, you feel me?
Yeah.
They can't do it. They can't do it, and they ain't gonna do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm gonna beat and get next to you.
Yeah.
We're gonna raise our families and become the kings that we're supposed to be, you feel me?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're trying to end us. Who are they?
This sounds like a page out of what we know part of his defense strategy is going to be, that to say that he's being prosecuted
Because he's a black
he's
man.
a successful, rich, successful black man.
That is his. That
trying
is
to take down.
one of the things he's going to raise.
Right.
I don't know how that equates to Kanye.
He's saying that you are the same thing, and just be careful. The things you do, they being, I guess, prosecutors, the government may find a way to take you down.
You may be right, but I think that's odd because Kanye's not being
Not in any criminal
right
trouble whatsoever.
and that's why it's just an odd thing.
Well, I mean, think about it. From Diddy's standpoint, he wasn't doing anything wrong either, and they just decided they were going to come after him, is the way he's viewing it.
That's a very kind way to put it for Diddy, the idea that he didn't think he was doing anything wrong. I mean, I know that's his legal defense, and I know that in the court of public opinion, he is trying to argue that he is a oppressed black man. I'm not sure that really holds weight given the facts. And certainly with Kanye, I agree, he hasn't really played that card before, and he's not doing anything illegal. And the bad news,
yes,
I'm wearing the swastika shirt. I don't know, how he's gotten away with a lot.
Well, but you know what? See, I thought Diddy just threw that in, that they are going to try and bring us down. But a lot of the other stuff that you just heard, to me, is a warning. Stop the anti-Semitic crap, and and do some good music.
I didn't hear that.
He didn't say anti-Semitic,
Right.
but he's saying start smiling again. Start
some
going. Put some good music out there, and it's almost like he knows what Kanye's been doing. And he's saying,
I'm sure he
get back
does
on,
know, yeah.
I actually
So get
heard
back
that
on
a little
track.
bit too. You know, Diddy's actually clamoring for Kanye to return back to the old Kanye, like most of his fan base. You know, he's been going on rants for days, dissing rappers by the mile, and Diddy's saying, get back to what you do best, and
He's
that's
making
not
hits.
being on
That
X.
was interesting, the part where he said, get back on your hit-making vibe, man. Like, stop all this other stuff you're doing.
But I
guess you could take it that way, yeah.
That was, to me, the overarching thing. It's also just really interesting to watch Kanye and see how deferential he is and how reverential he is to Diddy. I
take him at his word when he says that the Diddy was very influential, was a role model to him before he even knew him, just because he admired his music and what he did in the studio, and I think it clearly inspired Kanye in ways. So.
Now the question,
it's an odd pairing.
It is.
Right?
It's an odd pairing. But now the question: what is Kim Kardashian? How is she processing this? Because she, just a day ago,
He warned of being controlled, silenced, drugged, manipulated by figures in the industry. He spoke of handlers, of powerful individuals pulling strings in the shadows. People rolled their eyes. They called him delusional. But as Diddy's name collided with his in these disturbing revelations, suddenly those so-called rants looked eerily like confessions. What if Kanye had been telling the truth all along? What if the bizarre behavior was not madness but the pressure of holding in secrets too dangerous to release? The ties revealed went far deeper than casual industry interactions. These were not just collaborations in music or appearances at the same glamorous parties. What was exposed pointed toward secretive, exclusive gatherings where silence was the price of admission, where disturbing behaviors were whispered about but never publicly acknowledged. Behind closed doors, the atmosphere was nothing like the glitz the public saw. Instead, it was about control, manipulation, and tests of loyalty that left scars. Kanye's paranoia suddenly seemed justified, his fear of being silenced, his constant suspicion.
But basically, this was the essence of it. Free Puff.
Okay.
And
it's an interesting take. He apparently has he's had a relationship with him. And so Diddy hasn't gotten a lot of that. So he responded to it.
Yeah, on his Instagram account. I'm not sure exactly how.
I was wondering that myself.
He has access.
I was wondering that myself.
Maybe he told someone to do it. But anyway, so thank you to my brother Ye, Yeezy.com. So yeah, celebrating it.
So
to be fair to Diddy, I know is something you don't hear a lot these days.
Diddy didn't know what was coming.
He did not know the firestorm that was about to come because Ye was just getting warmed up. And this is where it gets really just insane. This is what he started to say about, this has always been, he's always framed this as he doesn't like the business deals that he's made with Jewish people.
This is a trope, by the way.
Yes. Ain't nobody ramped up either. I'm calm as ice. This is how I really feel.
So can I stop you for a second? He is now telling everybody, you may not have believed me before, you gotta believe me now.
And by the way, the reason he's saying ain't nobody ramped up is because this is after several hours of tweeting, right? So he says, ain't nobody ramped up either. I'm calm as ice. This is how I really feel, how I really felt, and how I will always feel. Blank all your blank blank unfair business deals. Any Jewish person that does business with me needs to know I don't like or trust any Jewish person, and this is completely sober with no Henny. I'm a Nazi.
Oh, there's more.
And one more. Hitler was so fresh.
So, look, I'm not going to get upset.
It's not even.
I'm Jewish. I'm not going to get upset with this because I think that's what he wants. I think what you got to do at this point, whether it's performative, and it could be, or whether it's real, and I think it is, or it's mental illness, or it's a combination of all of those things, and it probably is. He's an anti-Semite.
But I hear what you're saying, that you don't want to express too much outrage because one, you may be just used to it. Two, you don't want to give him what he probably wants.
Right.
But there is a part of this that is still dangerous, and I understand you're saying you don't want to, have all this outrage. But there are people out there who are going to listen to it, and their reaction to it is going to be, yeah, the hell with Jewish people.
Oh, I think you're right.
I actually think it's pretty helpful because the rant that went on in 2022 was several years ago. And frankly, time heals all wounds. People forget, they soften it. The passage of time sort of makes
we
him
all
a
laugh
different
about
figure.
his antics going out with his wife, and she's naked at the Grammys, and people can have lighthearted feelings toward him about that stuff, right?
That's right, and this is a good reminder of this is who he is. This is his sort of thesis statement and his true feelings. He says he's not inebriated in any way. This is how he feels. He doesn't trust Jewish people. Doesn't like them.
While he's not inebriated, he still has mental illness.
Look,
we know.
I think you're right. It's all three of them. It's mental illness, performative, and real.
Yeah.
But here's the difference, Derek, between 2 years ago or 3 years ago and today. We're in a different world today. And the hatred you express can be a plus for you in certain corners of this country. And I feel like this kind of hatred, in some ways, has been normalized.
Of the people around him, it all began to make sense as his name surfaced alongside Diddy's in ways that suggested both men had been entangled in the same dark web. The reaction in the courtroom was electric. You could feel the collective intake of breath. The realization that what was being revealed was not just about two men but about an entire industry's underbelly. Journalists scribbled frantically, knowing they were witnessing history. Attorneys shifted uncomfortably, aware of the dangerous territory being tread. Observers sat frozen, caught between disbelief and horror. This was not speculation anymore. It was evidence, testimony, and details that painted a picture far too vivid to be ignored. Diddy, once the architect of his own myth, could no longer hide behind the glossy veneer. His desperation was visible. He clenched his jaw, his eyes glossed with fury and fear. He whispered furiously to his attorneys, his hands gripping the table as if holding on to the last pieces of control he had left. The panic was written on his face, the awareness that the world
West. Let me circle back to Peixoto. And by the way, there's another connection between Combs we'll get to in a second. So Peixoto sued for 15 claims, 15 causes of action, including everything from breach of contract to wrongful termination, sexual harassment, unpaid wages, gender discrimination. And she also named not only West, but also his companies, Yeezy Apparel, Yeezy Footwear, Yeezy Construction. The suit reads, plaintiff has worked in the music industry for approximately 15 years. She has successfully held positions in and as artist management and representation, A&R, marketing consultant, and project management. Due to her professional success, plaintiff had occasions to interact professionally with many artists, including without limitation defendant Kanye West, aka Ye. Plaintiff creatively collaborated with defendant on Yeezy's Season 1 women's fashion line and placed 3 songs on Donda, Kanye's 2021 album. So West allegedly wanted to make Peixoto his executive assistant, personal assistant in connection with his business affairs and his personal life. So they agreed on a salary, according to her, of $1 million a year, and according to Peixoto, she was required to be available 24/7. The filing states, at all relevant times, defendant West was aware the plaintiff maintained a strong social media presence comprised of her Instagram and an OnlyFans account, the latter of which was run entirely by an independent management company, and he did not have any issue or objection to it. To the contrary, defendant West often boasted to friends and colleagues that plaintiff was, quote, an OnlyFans superstar. But that seemed to change, according to Peixoto, because she writes, much later, in and around August 2022, defendant West stated that he wanted plaintiff to be godlike and asked plaintiff to delete her OnlyFans account. Defendant West agreed to pay plaintiff $1 million if she did so. In further reliance upon defendant's representations, plaintiff deleted her OnlyFans internet account, thereby giving up the annual sums generated from such account. West never paid plaintiff as promised. And then from there, Peixoto just alleges that West described these sexual fantasies to her via text. The filing includes screenshots of explicit texts and comments allegedly made by West. The document states that West asked plaintiff to get him honey, so this sexual enhancer and performance honey, and that defendant required that plaintiff always have this on hand and available, and she had to deliver it to defendant in advance of defendant's sexual encounters. By the way, that is similar to some of the allegations that have been made against Sean Combs, because investigators who searched his LA and Miami homes back in March said that they found hundreds and hundreds of bottles of baby oil and lubricant, and there have been allegations from people who work closely with Combs, like music producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones, that Combs would force his employees to carry around drugs in fanny packs so they were always available to him. And Combs was also accused of forcing his employees to set up his so-called freak-offs, which included the lighting and the cameras, plus the procurement of sex workers and drugs. That's a main allegation in the criminal case. But going back to West, he would allegedly share details with Peixoto about his latest sexual conquests, as well as ones in the past, including the time he says that he had sex with an A-list celebrity who wasn't named in the filing, and then texted, not sure why that thought came to me. Peixoto also claims that West told his now wife, Bianca Censori, that he wanted to have sex with her mom while she watched. This was reportedly one of his kinks, that he wanted to have sex with the mothers of women he was involved with. Censori is an Australian architect and model. She's currently the head of architecture at Yeezy, Kanye West clothing line. But Peixoto claims that West texted Censori about his fantasy, and Censori responded in a way that brushed off the mom comment but was still sexually explicit. Peixoto claims that West sent her a screenshot of the text, asking if he should have worded it a different way. According to Peixoto, Censori, who was on a working visa,
now saw him differently, not as a mogul but as a man cornered by truth. Every revelation about his ties to Kanye cut deeper into the empire he spent decades building. And then, there was Kanye. Though not physically present, his shadow loomed over every word spoken. For his fans, the courtroom revelations were both horrifying and vindicating. They pointed to his past statements, his warnings, and his breakdowns as proof that he had been trying to say something important. something no one wanted to believe. To them, this was the validation they had been waiting for, evidence that Kanye had been trapped in a dark system, screaming for help in the only way he could. But for others, the revelations raised harsher questions. If Kanye truly knew the extent of what was happening, why didn't he expose it earlier? Was his silence protection, or was it complicity? The disturbing ties between these two men left everyone questioning what role each had played. Were they both victims of a larger machine, silenced by threats and manipulation? Or were they willing participants, complicit in keeping secrets?
And he added, "Don't wear the shirt, don't buy the shirt, don't play with the shirt, it's not a joke." Well, not long after those comments, Kanye West apparently posted screenshots of text conversations, messages between himself and someone identified in the thread as just Puff, seemingly a reference to one of the many nicknames that Sean Combs has had over the years. So West says in part in these messages, "I didn't like our convo. I'm selling these teas. Nobody gets between me and my money. This is my grandfather texting you now. Never call me with no BS like that again unless you're ready to green light me, because anybody who got on that tea is me. Out of respect for everything you've meant to me, I'll be quiet as Virgil," meaning Virgil Abloh, who passed away, "but now I know how I've hurt people I love with threats." And he seemed to follow it up with, "Come do something illegal to me now, please." Now, the alleged Combs side of the conversation responds, "N-word, send me address. Let's stop playing these internet games and don't feel threatened. You'll be fine. Just love." To which West reportedly replies, "This ain't a game. I'ma use you as an example to show the Jewish people that told you to call me that no one can threaten or influence me. I told you this was war. Now gonna get you some business." West apparently followed up with another post in which Combs allegedly texted him, "As soon as I land, we'll meet face to face," to which West responded, "N-word, F you." Now, in the final part of this alleged exchange between the two rappers, Combs allegedly wrote, "I'm just trying to talk to you as a black man, and I'm talking to you because this is hurting our people. Stop." West apparently responded, "Anything you text, I will post. I love you, and you guys are breaking my heart. I accept your apology in advance." Okay, putting that to the side. Now let's get back to Kanye West and Sensori's red carpet moment, because just as the coverage started to subside, West flipped the script on his X page. So his page has since been removed, and I'll get more on that in a moment, but screenshots of his tweets show he posted in all caps, "Free Puff." He then went on to post or tweet, "All these celebrity N-words and B-words is scared. Y'all will watch our brother rot and never say S." He went on to post, "I stood up for Puff and I'm still winning 20 Grammys next year and doing the Super Bowl." He also tweeted that, or posted that slavery is a choice, which of course got some backlash from other X users. But West seemed to double down as his rant continued with, "What you all gonna do? Cancel my sneaker deal? Cancel my record deal? Freeze my accounts? F y'all, N-words. Slavery is a choice. I am speaking my mind now. I ain't editing. S again ever." And he later tweeted, "This man gave his life to us. This is my idol. This is my hero," seemingly referencing Sean Combs. And then there's this one, because he even announced a collaboration between himself and Sean Combs' fashion line, Sean John, saying that t-shirts would be made available on the Yeezy website, seemingly as a way to maybe raise money for Sean Combs or support Sean Combs as he's locked up in the MDC. And he also said that he and Combs would be splitting the profits 50-50, but later corrected himself, saying, "I just found out that Puff is not allowed to make or collect money while he's locked up, so I'm going to send the half of the money to Justin," seemingly referring to Justin Dior Combs, Combs' son. By the way, the Daily Mail reports recently that both Justin and Christian Combs were seen arriving at the hotel that West was staying at in Los Angeles. Actually, it was reported they left carrying packages that contained clothing that was gifted to them by Kanye West. Again, this is according to the Daily Mail. This came, by the way, the same day that West apparently tweeted or posted, "Puff is a way better dad than me, dad, and way better dad than me." He posted a photo of Combs on a red carpet with his children and said, "I wish I had the relationship with my dad that Puff has with his kids." And West also posted, tweeted,
Varied to protect their own power? The courtroom became a stage for these questions, but the answers remained elusive, wrapped in layers of mystery and fear. The shockwaves spread beyond the courtroom walls. Across the world, fans sat glued to screens, watching updates pour in with disbelief. Social media erupted with theories, debates, and outrage. Industry insiders whispered nervously, their own secrets suddenly feeling less secure. If Diddy and Kanye could be exposed in this way, then no one was untouchable. The fear was palpable: who would be named next? And what truths would be dragged into the light? Diddy's unraveling became symbolic of something larger, the fall of the untouchable mogul. He was no longer the man who defined cool, who turned everything he touched into gold. He was a man exposed, his name dragged through the mud, his empire trembling under the weight of truths he could no longer suppress. Kanye's inclusion in this mess turned the story into something far more sinister.
One day, and then the next day, he's up in court. That was crazy. Well, you know, he was somewhat of a protege of Diddy's back in the day, even though he was working with, what you call that motherfucker? Rockefeller, whatever that was, Rockefeller. Even though he was working with their ass, he was a protege of Diddy. He liked what Diddy did and everything like that. So he used to hang out, go to the parties, all that stuff like that. And I'm not saying no freak off parties, just the regular parties. He wanted to be known. So, you know, he was doing music for everybody, and he was doing music for Diddy. So I could see him being a supporter, but then when they all got big and started getting a lot of money and everything like that, they started going at each other crazy. You understand? And he felt like that because I believe Puff was the one probably introduced him to Kim Kardashian, if I'm not mistaken. I think Puff had something to do with him getting with Kim Kardashian. You know what I'm saying? Because she used to mess with a couple of dudes, a dude from BMF first, and she was around. So I would presume that Kim and Kanye West was all right back in the day. And then when they started getting money and they started going at each other and stuff like that, and then Kanye fell out with the Kardashians, and none of the people that he thought was supposed to be cool with him helped him. So he just started going at everybody. So it was strange after that whole drink trap. And then, you know, when Diddy got arrested, he did say some things because the government, he may look at the fact the government may come after him. So he may become an ally of Diddy's, but everybody that's going to be around him going to go down, man. This is crazy, man. You got to realize that he has no way out of this, bro. He has no way out of this. It either had to be a mistrial, or if it's a mistrial, they still go back to the drawing board. You understand? That don't mean he gets out of jail. They just do another trial date. So I believe, and my prediction on this, that was just all show for Kanye to come up in there. You understand? The jurors, if you know anything about the jury and having Kanye to support you, I don't even think that's a good thing. But maybe they think it is. It's going to, you know, throw something, you know, some kind of public opinion Diddy's way. It's stupid. That would be one of the last persons I would have coming up there to support me, knowing his relationship with the Jewish population. The stuff that he said about the Jewish population. Why would you have that man come up in the court and say anything in your behalf?
And the woman that testified that Kanye, he was a part of one of Diddy freak-offs, this is the same woman that's a baby mom of a famous rapper, right?
Yeah, it's Jane Doe.
A tale of two powerful men bound together by disturbing ties that no amount of fame could erase. The silence after each revelation was almost as loud as the gasps. It was the silence of realization, the heavy weight of understanding that the world was witnessing not just a scandal but a reckoning. For decades, rumors swirled, whispers floated, but nothing concrete ever surfaced. Now, the whispers were shouts, undeniable and horrifying. The courtroom was no longer just a legal arena. It was the stage for the collapse of two icons whose ties to darkness could no longer be hidden. And as the session closed, one thing became chillingly clear: this was just the beginning. The disturbing ties between Diddy and Kanye were no longer secrets, but the ripple effect had only started. The industry trembled, fans demanded answers, and the world waited for the next revelation. Because once the truth begins to surface, it doesn't stop. And for Diddy and Kanye, the truth has finally caught up. dragging their darkest secrets into the light for everyone to see.